All right, Thor, come on up. Okay, if we can all please rise for the invocation. Stand by one, we're going to check the camera. Step over here, probably get this monitor. No, over here. Good?
We have no flag.
What?
Oh, Lori's missing, man.
Can we move a little closer to the banner, please? Sorry, folks. Wanted to be free.
Okay, are we good? We're still getting feedback. Let's try this on something off.
Turn off.
Is that?
Yeah, the two photos.
Yeah, that works. It's okay.
Okay. All right.
Our dear Father in heaven, we thank you so much for our venue that we have here, and we thank the people that make this work and the people that teach the classes, and we pray that the people that teach these classes are knowledgeable and can tell us exactly what we need to do for the future, and we pray that we can get more young people out, and please bless the people that are sick and afflicted that they might get better. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, take your seats.
Before I give up the mic, I want to make a personal thanks to Dr. May, and she came over and took care of us. You guys need her vet. She's sure the best in town. Thank you.
Okay, welcome everybody. Who's here for the first time? Never been to one of our meetings? A couple new ones over there. Very good. Welcome everybody. Okay, we normally go through a lot of preliminaries. We explain about the organization. Today we're going to forego a lot of that. But we're just going to go ahead and say welcome to Oath Keepers of Yavapai County and the Yavapai County Preparedness Team. We're not going to go into all of the details because I've got 3 guest speakers today. We got a ton of information for you guys. It's going to be very interesting. So I want to give them the maximum amount of time. And I need a break, so this is going to work out perfect. Okay, so one quick announcement. Is David McNabb here yet? He is? Okay, have him come on up. He's going to make an announcement. I've got another notice here. There is a gathering at the Chino Valley Bible Church at 317 Marketplace Drive in Chino Valley, August the 16th at 6 p.m. It's Dr. Dennis Hollers is going to be doing some information on climate change. This is the guy that Al Gore refused to debate. So I just got this notice. We're going to put it out. We'll post it on the website and send out an email to everybody. So it's August the 18th, 6 p.m. at the Chino Valley Bible Church, 317 Marketplace Drive in Chino. Okay. Janet, do we need to cover anything else? Oh, the donation bucket. Thank you, Mark. Okay, you guys know what this is all about. That's how we pay for the air conditioning, the lights, the tables, the whole gamut. So we appreciate all your support. Without you guys, we couldn't possibly do it. So we're going to go ahead and get the donation bucket going around.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Shirts and hats are available. We just got in a whole fresh order of Faraday bags. So some of you were looking for certain size Faraday bags. They are now in stock up on the table there. So if you have any questions, get with Janet or Steve, and they'll be able to help you out. Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a welcome video from Sheriff Mack. He has the introduction. So Steve is here. He's going to basically brief you guys. He's going to speak first. So he'll let you guys know what all is going on. That's Steve over there. And let's bring David up and let him talk to you for just a minute, and then we'll get out of the way and turn these guys loose.
Hello, I'm David McNabb with the Prescott Creation Society. The Society does several things, but the best thing that we do is put on a all-day creation tour of the Grand Canyon in the spring and the fall. The fall trip's coming up on September the 16th. It's a day of immersion into creation science. Creation science is the science that supports the biblical accounts of creation and the flood in the first 9 chapters of Genesis, where the Bible is attacked the most. Now, if you can't defend that from lots of people who want to attack that, you're going to be in trouble because you're going to feel like your faith is shaking. And unfortunately, it's attacked in a big way in biology class in public schools and a lot of charter schools as well. So that's why we're losing about 88% of the students from churches. 88%. That doesn't floor you, I don't know what will, because it floored me when I heard that. And that's what made me realize that this is the devil's best deception. He's getting his way more than in any other field than in his schools, in the biology books, and this lie about evolution and deep time. So you'll learn all about creation science, and as it applies especially to the flood. And the best place to see the effects of the flood is at the Grand Canyon. And the best teacher about the Grand Canyon and creation science is Russ Miller. He's an expert in the Grand Canyon. Jim and Janice went on our spring trip, and they can tell you all about it. If you have any questions, ask them. Doc went on the trip. Who else went on the trip? Raise your hand if you went on the trip. Over here. So ask the folks that's been on the trip about it, and they'll tell you how amazing it is and how much it helps you understand about the Grand Canyon, the flood, and the creation. So just come by in the back on your way out to talk to me about that. Get my card. It's $160 for an adult. It's $80 for students. So half price for students. If you have any students in your life, especially if they're going to public school, try to bring them. That's a great place for them to go to learn this, and they'll be able to defend their faith. So hope to talk to you. And I got the world's best shortbread. Did I mention that? 3 kinds of shortbread there, and that supports the Creation Society as well. And I'm going to have a booth at the Hope Fest on the 19th. So a week from today. Hope Fest is the biggest Christian festival in the state that I know of. At the Courthouse Square. Fills up the entire square. So come to that if you can. 10 to 4 next Saturday the 19th. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, David. Thank you. I will attest to that shortbread. I am totally addicted to his shortbread. I keep stacks of them on hand. Okay, we're going to bring Brian up from Lions of Liberty, and then we're going to get going. Steve, I'm going to leave you my headset.
Good morning, folks. I'm Brian Muncie, one of the board members of the Lions of Liberty. I always like to start out with, who are we? For those who haven't heard the spiel before, and the new people online. We are a resolute nucleus of concerned, passionate, Christian conservative patriots who are determined to correct the course of our country, which has been hijacked and undermined by global elites communists, leftists, deep state bureaucrats, and fake news. The overwhelming perversions that dictate our world today must be rectified. The treason and war crimes must be held to the most severe consequences of accountability. We will not fight, we will not back down, give up, or apologize for what we must do to win this fight. Our goals are to bring God back to our leadership and win this spiritual battle for the soul of our nation, to unite conservative groups, to expose and replace rhinos. We don't like rhinos, do we? No. That's right. To vet and support candidates running for elected positions from local to national. They must be true to their constituents or face dire consequences. To give people hope for the future and actionable strategies to engage the enemy. To restore and preserve the sanctity of this republic and our voting system for the generations to come. To support and defend the Constitution and our God-given rights therein. And to this end, we on the board mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Folks, our next meeting is next week, August 19th, 10 o'clock here at the Vibes. We are continuing vetting candidates for our local elections. We have a sign-up sheet up front if you'd like to help us. We definitely need help. The results of the vetting are and will be posted on our Lions of Liberty, the Lions of Liberty website. We're also making a big difference in our Yavapai GOP. More representative of we the people and driving away from the Rhino McCain era ideology that has hamstrung the Republican Party from local to national for decades. We have to present a united, no more bullshit stance and demand that the evil agenda that has been perpetrated upon us be answered by holding those responsible to the most severe consequences of accountability. That's the only remedy that will get their attention, because they have operated for so long without consequences. They think we are feckless mushrooms. I've got news for them. We're not. We're here to send the message, no more. No more corrupt FBI, IRS, DOJ, fake news, fake pandemics, stolen elections. We're done and are not playing patty cake anymore. Heads are going to roll. Stay strong, folks. God bless you all for your tenacity, fortitude, and support.
New raffle.
Oh, thank you, Lord. And we also have a new raffle for a Ruger Takedown 1022. Comes with a carry bag. Very nice little semi-automatic survival rifle. We just started selling tickets today. We're going to sell 125 tickets at $10 a piece, and as soon as they're all sold, we'll hold the raffle. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Brian. Okay, so what's going to happen today? We've got 3 guest speakers. We're going to start with Steve Timonello. Steve, I'm going to let you introduce your guys. You're pretty much going to run the show from here. I'm going to go sit down and drink coffee and take a nap. It's been a long week. Okay, so come on up, Steve, and he'll explain what's going to be going on today and what they're going to talk about. You guys are going to learn some very interesting things today, I think.
You couldn't get
Come on
this
up.
to work, huh?
We have a little video.
Okay. One other thing, hold all questions until the end. Normally we're done at 11:30. Today we have authorization to run over a little bit, maybe 15, 20 minutes. It'll be worthwhile hanging out. And then at the end we need to help set up some tables and chairs for the event tonight. All right.
work when I started. So there should be sound. And there's not.
You have to turn something off for the feedback.
No.
Are you sharing? Sometimes you have to find share with sound.
Well, that one doesn't work on this one. That will work. That works. So, oh, that was good. Okay. You're gonna have to wing it. I don't have it in sound. Well, it was working perfectly fine. No, it's not working.
Okay. Well, I'd like to welcome you all to the Yavapai County Preparedness Team meeting this morning. And I had a couple of things I want to share with you here while Bob's getting the sound going. We've had some technical difficulties.
Just stick the microphone next to the laptop.
You've all heard of Murphy's Law. I think Murphy never takes a day off around here. Yeah, I've got some of the Patriot Free Press that we brought you. They're on the table. We have some at our table. These are free for you to pick up and to give out to your friends and family. And brochures on the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. There we go. So we're going to have a little welcoming message from Sheriff Richard Mack, founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate all of you being here and making this event happen. My name is Sheriff Richard Mack. I'm the former sheriff of Graham County, Arizona. That's Safford, Arizona, the county seat. And it was my favorite job being the sheriff in my hometown. While I was sheriff, I did something really crazy, and I admit it was crazy. I actually sued the federal government. I sued the Clinton administration, took it all the way to the United States Supreme Court, where we won a major landmark decision on the side of state sovereignty and local autonomy. It was an amazing miracle. Now, I am the founder and president of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. That's where Steve Tuminello comes in, and he is an amazing part of all of this. Steve, for the last 5 years, has been our international media relations director. He has taken the Constitutional Sheriffs, or the CSPOA, to international prominence. And we're grateful for the work that he has done and the immense time and effort that he has put into this. Steve has also been a patriot activist and working with patriot groups all over the western United States. Steve Tuminello has been a patriot activist for the last 30 years. He has had a wide variety of experience in public speaking and doing radio and television interviews. While I do training with sheriffs and other public officials, he does the media relations all throughout the country. We'd also like to thank Robert McDowell for making this event possible, along with the Patriot View organization. Thank you so much to all of you. And now I present to you Steve Tuminello.
All right. I think most of you have seen Sheriff Mack before. Thank you, Sheriff Mack. By the way, usually when he speaks, he talks about suing the Clinton administration and being able to live to talk about it. So
46 and counting.
yeah. So we appreciate you all coming out. again, we have the Patriot Free Press out here. We're going to have an article in your group and our talk today in the September issue, so we'll be bringing those over to you to be distributed. The brochures for the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, if you'd like to join the posse, so we can continue going out and speaking to groups and bring the sheriffs in for training events. This is the book that really inspired me. Pull this up on the screen here. The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope. I had all of Sheriff Mack's books back in 2005 when I first met him. And I contacted him in 2018 because I reread this book and seeing where our country was going, I knew that we needed to get Sheriff Mack operating on an international level. So that book really inspired me. We have some of those back there. They're basically a donation. If you'd like to get those, please come back and see Steve back there at the table. So Sheriff Mack spoke here. I guess it's been about a year ago. I was here with him when we had that German film crew here, and so a lot of you have seen him. Maybe some of you, or this is your first time to be here, so I want to tell you a little bit about him, and then we're going to bring up our second speaker. This quote really says it all. Sheriff Mack had the courage to stand for the independence of county sheriffs and dedicated the Constitution against the Congress of the defended the Constitution against the Congress of the United States, and the Supreme Court agreed with him. This was one of the most important states' rights cases in American history. You're hearing a lot about states' rights now. The federal government they're basically supposed to secure our border and be responsible for our treasury, but as you know, they failed miserably on those two counts, and they've been involved in every aspect of our life. But the states' rights, I think, is where things are going, where the United States of America start ruling themselves instead of the federal government. But Judge Napolitano, I think all of you are very familiar with him from Fox News, and real proud of the statement that he made with Sheriff Mack. And even back then, he was having to defend it against the Congress. So you can see this was nothing new with the behavior we're getting. This was the largest prominent daily newspaper in Frankfurt, Germany, contacted me back in 2021, and they wanted to interview Sheriff Mack because we were doing a lot of training and a lot of public speaking all over the country. And it was interesting when you had the film crew here. When we were here, they were very familiar with the paper. That's the largest daily paper in Germany, and it actually gets distributed to 139 different countries. And they put Sheriff Mack on the Sunday edition. It was a favorable article, a very positive article, which is unusual. We don't get that over here. So anyway, it was great that you had the television crew here from Germany, and the fact that Sheriff Mack had been recognized. So we have been operating at an international level with other media as well. 2,000 Mules. How many of you saw 2,000 Mules? Yeah, great movie. So we had a CSPOA press conference last July the 12th in Las Vegas, and we had a packed house. I think we had about 400 there, but it was being streamed on Brighteon TV network and Mike Lindell's networks. And so we had millions of people seeing that event. There's about a dozen constitutional sheriffs there. Basically, we decided at that point that if we don't have honest elections, we don't have a country. And so Sheriff Mack said our primary focus should be election integrity, and that's why we've been out speaking on the West Coast primarily, all about the election fraud that's been going on and some solutions that we can offer. Mike Lindell flew in for the event, and we worked very closely with Mike. And of course, we had Catherine Engelbrecht, Greg Phillips from True the Vote that were featured in the 2,000 Mules movie.
Our job
Watch
as
this
law
video.
enforcement is to, when a complaint's made, to investigate it to a successful conclusion. We're not looking at it from any political viewpoint except was the law followed.
I perceive sheriffs coming together. Real sheriffs are in it for the people.
That's why we're here. That's why we're elected.
There's no doubt in my mind that there's enough compelling evidence to place voter fraud charges in many areas across the country.
What we don't understand is there's a bigger picture here, and I'm not sure it's not international. To to control our country. When you're talking national security, I don't think it gets more important than our vote, because our vote is what we have to preserve our republic.
We are the last line of defense, and if these federal agencies are not going to pick up on these crimes, these felonies, then the sheriffs will.
It could change the way we do elections for the better. We give people in our country confidence in the election system. If we don't have that confidence, our republic is at risk.
To everyone, whether you're my constituents or fellow Americans, I want you to know this is your country. Our forefathers drafted this Constitution to preserve the rights that were given to you by God.
So that was a breakout session on Wednesday, the 13th of July, after we had our press conference, and great response from the constitutional sheriffs. You guys have a great sheriff here. I came to one of your meetings, probably a year and a half ago when Sheriff Rhodes spoke, and I was so impressed with him. He's probably the best constitutional sheriff I've seen out west. So congratulations. Yeah, he got me when he said, I'm not taking any of that federal bribe money because they commit me to a contract, right? And then he has to obey all the illegal mandates and executive orders. And he said, we live like, I really appreciated this. He said, I'm just like you. I live within a budget. Unfortunately, our sheriff in Mojave County had a little different viewpoint. But we've got a constitutional candidate running in Mojave County that we're going to be promoting. And I'm going to be meeting with your sheriff on September 13th on a Wednesday. I wanted to meet with him yesterday, but he's got a very busy schedule. But there's some things I want to talk about, some of the things that the Lines of Liberty were talking about that we need to address, because things are getting very serious. I want to play one more video, and then we'll be bringing Jonathan Alexander up. And this is a video we had done. I had a lot of interviews with Sheriff Mack of the Epic Times and their print media, but they were at the Freedom Fest right after our press conference, and they wanted to interview Sheriff Mack. This is a little short 1-minute video that kind of encapsulates everything we're doing.
Trump really blew the horn about this, no question about it. But he's not the only victim, and this isn't the first time it's happened.
You were the guys who sued the Clintons, and now you're going after election fraud.
I'm the first sheriff in American history to start a lawsuit against the federal government, and as you mentioned, the Clintons no less, in the only time in history that a sheriff beat the federal government in the U.S. Supreme Court, and we're still moving and we're still working, and this was the most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the history of our country, and it was done by sheriffs.
And now this group of sheriffs, the ones who stood up for all these things, you're going after election fraud.
This is the greatest crime committed against the American people in the history of our country. This is a coup against the stewardship that we have as the people to choose our own representatives, to make this a constitutional republic.
So, we have several things we can do, solutions. Go to CSPOA.org. There's a sheriff's toolkit there. You want to talk to Sheriff Rhodes, I'll be talking to him also about the things that we can do if we find that there's been any election fraud. Then we can report that to True the Vote. They have a way to contact the sheriff and provide immutable evidence. So that we'll have some information on that on the back. So. CSPOA.org is how you go to our website. So I think I'd like to bring Jonathan up now so we can stay on schedule. We met Jonathan Alexander at a Republican Men's Club meeting in Lake Havasu several months ago, and after we met with him, we decided to have him come out and speak with us. So we've got included in our election integrity program presentation, we have Jonathan now presenting, as well as our financial preparedness. So I'd like to introduce Jonathan Alexander from LiveBorderNews.com.
Well, good to see so many of you out here. And hold on 1 second. Where's the mic switch?
Where to the bottom, that narrow part on the bottom?
Right on the edge. It'll turn green.
Yeah.
It's the little square right there.
Little square.
Doesn't seem to be working.
Try this one then.
All right.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Well, I got a pretty loud voice. Can you all hear me fine? All right.
Okay, it's on.
Is it on? Thanks.
There we go.
That's the bad one.
All right, it's good to see all of you guys out here. Now it's pretty loud. So I'm Jonathan Alexander with LiveBorderNews.com. I go down to the border, do all the live coverage, so you guys get to see the truth of what's happening on our southern borders. We go right into the heart of the cartel camps on U.S. soil. We just got done giving Senator Hart a nice tour to the border, and I think I gave the guy PTSD. So he got to see a lot of things that the average American does not want to see. We got human trafficking happening down there every day. We've got enough fentanyl coming through our borders. Just in the Sassity sector alone, that's the Tucson sector, enough fentanyl coming through daily to kill every last man, woman, and child here in America. That should be very concerning for all of Americans. I don't care what side of the damn party you're on. This is an American problem, not a party problem. So, the Biden administration, the fake news channels, they've all got one agenda. They want you to believe nothing but BS. That's why I'm dedicated to doing this coverage. I'm not paid for it. I do this on my time, my dollar. But it's the only way we're getting the truth out to the American people, to where we're actually right into the heart of the issues. Which you guys are entitled to see the truth of what's happening every day. And again, we've got Border Patrol agents that have died down there. You don't see one thing on the news channels about it. To keep it from you guys. We have witnessed children actually being beheaded. We've got children that come through that border that smell of semen. Most of these children that come through the border have been brutally raped by the cartel multiple times. It's quite disgusting what you see. Today, the footage we're going to show you guys, we tamed it down so you guys can see what we're dealing with every day. If you guys ever want to see some of the graphic details, you can contact me directly. My business card's back here on the table. I've been giving out flyers today as well. And I'll show you some graphic stuff. But keep in mind, it's very disturbing what you're going to see. Here a while back, I gave a speech to the House floor in Boise, Idaho, where I took a lot of footage with me. And the Lieutenant Governor asked me to come in and give him a border update. And I did. And showed him what was happening on the southern borders. And I can tell you right now, right at the end of my speech and everything to the House floor, I had Fox News, KHQ News, all the news channels surround me. Because I mentioned about the decapitation of children and people. I had the news channel turn around and go, you know, Mr. Alexander, we heard your report, but we don't believe you. I said, really? I said, what part don't you believe? He goes, people being decapitated? I said, well, actually, you're in luck here today. I said, because I brought the footage, I played it for the Lieutenant Governor, offered to play it for the floor right here. I said, nobody wanted to see it. They said it was too graphic for the audience. And it probably is. Because believe me, it'll give you nightmares what you witness. So I played the film footage for him, and he got to watch the decapitation as well as the other news reporters surrounding me. The reporter instantly vomited all over the state capitol steps. Instantly. And he bursted into tears, actually fell to his knees in tears. He goes, I can't believe what I just seen. And I said, you know why you can't believe it? I said, because you guys are so involved in your fake news bullshit that none of you want to see the reality of what's happening all down here on the borders. So I've got a little bit of my information. Also, I want to introduce one of the gentlemen that came to the border with me. Stephen, why don't you come on up here and introduce yourself?
Hello.
There you go.
I'm Steve. Jonathan invited me. I met Jonathan a few months ago. He invited me out to the border to see all this stuff firsthand. And I just want to share a small experience I had down there. I had a chance to ride along with a whistleblower, a young lady. I'm going to just call her M for right now. And she had just a tremendous amount of information what's going down on our border. And just to give you a little history of her, she was ex-military. And from the military, when she got out, separated, she went into the National Guard to continue to serve. And when she was in the National Guard, she was temporarily assigned to the Border Patrol. While she was at the Border Patrol is where she was exposed to all this corruption, everybody involved, all the collusion that's going on down there. And so I asked her, who was it all? What all agencies are involved? And she didn't really
Get closer to the mic.
She didn't really want to say. So I just started asking her. Is it the Border Patrol? Mm-hmm. Is it the military? Mm-hmm. Is it the National Guard? Mm-hmm. Is it the county sheriff? Mm-hmm. Is it the ADOT? Mm-hmm. All of these agencies are involved. And she had the proof. She was asked to wear a wire and gather this information and deliver it to people. People she was asked to deliver it to decided to suppress it. Since she was smart enough to keep a copy of her affidavit and smart enough to let other people read it. So the stuff is real. What Jonathan's exposing, this stuff needs to stop. It's got to stop. And I don't think policy and procedure is going to stop it.
Appreciate it, Steve.
Steve Thomas is one of our leaders in our Havasu Patriots group, and we were trying to do something like what you guys are doing here a couple of years ago, so I wanted him to come over and see how well organized you are, and so we invited Steve over. He's an Army veteran. I was just talking to him the other day. How many in your family military?
20 combat veterans.
20 combat
Going up
veterans.
2 generations.
Yeah. So we're real proud of Steve. He owns a street side coffee. If you ever come to Lake Havasu, you got to go visit his coffee shop. It's great. Go ahead, John.
Absolutely. So if you'd like to play these guys a little bit of my footage to get started here.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're live from Sassafras, Arizona. We had 64 people cross through the border here once again. We got Border Patrol here. They're just now loading up the last of the vehicles. As you can see, and Border Patrol has had their hands full down here today. We have now witnessed over 200 toward through the border, just right here in the 5 sectors on the Sassafras border. The 5 sectors are the 5 openings in the border wall. So, and we're just going to go from there. Sorry, I'll try to get on board. If you want to pause it for 1 second, we're going. So what we have down here in Sassafras, Arizona. Any of you guys been there? You been to Sassafras?
Yeah.
Have you seen the border wall?
No.
Okay. In Sassafras, Arizona, you've got about a 10-mile section of the border wall where you got huge openings in the wall, at the Trump's wall. Some sections are 50 feet wide, some sections over 100 foot wide openings where Trump's wall has been removed to where the illegals can pour through. So what happens down here on the border, as you see in the footage with the illegals crossing right here, the women and children, Nobody gets through the border without going through the cartel. You pay your dues and you pay them dearly. So what happens is the cartel, they'll get together a group of 60, 200, sometimes 1,000 at a time. They'll push them through one of the big openings in the border wall. 6 miles up the way, since they know Border Patrol is all focused on this large loop right down here, they'll be running their fentanyl and drugs right up through another hole in the wall, which goes to the trails that take you over into 3 Points, Arizona. That's how they operate. Once it gets to 3 Points, these drugs are trafficked all over the country from there, because all your major interstates go out of Tucson. So they can go any direction they want from that point. So go ahead and keep playing. So right here, we've got footage of even the Chinese coming through our border.
Hello? Hi, yeah. Do you speak English? English? Are you from China? Yeah, from China? And you're coming to America?
So the thing to keep in mind, we've got over 150 countries coming through our southern borders. I mean, you got everybody from Russia to Iraq, Afghans coming through the border. We've seen it all. And again, this is a complete invasion. Everybody thought 9/11 was bad. How many of you guys thought 9/11 was bad? How many of you know the truth about 9/11? Okay. 9/11 ain't got shit on what is about to happen to our country. And I'm going to tell you guys why. You got to keep in mind, when we got enough fentanyl that comes through our borders to kill every last man, woman, and child in America daily, imagine the stockpile of fentanyl that we have in this country right now. Because this has been happening for years. There's no way, in heck, Americans is going to use that much fentanyl. They've got a plan for it, guys. Nobody wants to hear this kind of stuff. I'm telling you. The terrorists that are coming through our borders here, they've got a plot. And what would happen if these thugs right here decide they're going to hit our waterways all across America with fentanyl on the same day? All across America. Give some thought to that for 1 second. What would happen? By the time America would figure out what the hell just hit us, we're going to have millions, if not billions, dead. If you know how much fentanyl it takes to kill a human being, it's just the smallest amount. You keep raising your hand.
How would they deliver that, though? Like through a water supply or aerosol by planes? Or how would they do that?
I'll be answering a lot of questions here in a bit, but I'll answer your question right here on the spot. They could easily put it right in our rivers, put it in our streams that go to the rivers. It's not hard with the amount of fentanyl they got to totally pollute our waters. That's what people don't understand. These treatment centers, water treatment centers, you think it's going to treat it for fentanyl? Think again. It'll go right through it. Okay, if you want to play a little more. So this is our team that we had down on the border right here. And I think I've got the senator in here. Yeah, that's not the one that Senator Hart is. Did you guys read that one? Okay. Anyways, so matter of fact, we got Matt Cordova. How many of you guys know Matt? You guys know Matt? Yeah. He speaks highly of you guys down here. So had him on my team, And matter of fact, I don't even think I see you in this picture, Stephen.
Might be in there.
You,
I try to hide from the pictures.
you do a pretty good job. But anyhow, I thought I sent you guys the one with the senator. You got that one. Okay. Go ahead and start doing the slideshow of what we got. Okay. How many of you guys see these white buses coming around? This is happening every day. This is coming right from the border. So once they go through the processing center down there in Tucson, because they're shipped from Sassville over to the Tucson sector to be processed, these illegals. Once they're processed, they're loaded up on buses. They're taken to the airports, to your bus stations, whatever, and then they're transported all over the country.
We've seen them coming into the Walmart in Lake Havasu at 3 in the morning. They have tents set up where they're giving them phones and information. So.
And I'm glad you said that, because right at that meeting that we did the other day in Havasu, the mayor just got done telling me, we don't have that problem in Lake Havasu. Flat out said it, right? And the funny thing is, no sooner than I mentioned in my speech in Lake Havasu, I got a message from a gal that was there at the meeting. She said, hey, you got 2 buses here right now, the same exact buses you just got there showing. She goes, please reach out to me. So what we're asking for your communities here to do right now, when you see these buses come in and unload, I'm asking you guys to please contact me immediately. So I've got my business cards back here. I hope every one of you will take one on your way out of here. Because I'm also a private investigator. I don't just report the news, I investigate it. I make sure what I'm reporting to the American people is nothing but the truth and very accurate on my reporting. So if I say we got bus loads coming in, rest assured, you got bus loads coming in. I just got done announcing at another meeting over in Kingman, right before I went back down to the border, that Kingman was getting buses coming in. The sheriff turns around and says, not in my town. That's what Schuster said. He goes, I'm not going to have it. So far, currently to date, within the last 30 days, 12 buses have come into Kingman now.
Wow.
Don't tell me that's not a crisis. And he's supposed to be a constitutional sheriff. So I'm going to beat up on him a little bit here today, and I hope he's watching my live report right here. If you're going to follow the Constitution, you will protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Amen. The cartel and these thugs are nothing but illegal. This invasion on our borders, every one of these sheriffs, I won't call her a governor, but the thing in office, you know, they declared that the cartel is being terrorists. The governor vetoed it. Oops, I just said called her governor, excuse me. She vetoed that bill. Did you guys know that? Look it up. She totally vetoed it. Said the cartel's not terrorists. A lot of your border patrol agents call her cartel. Call her cartel. What's her name?
Cartelizona is what they're called.
Cartelizona.
Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable.
As far as I'm concerned, this governor ought to be held for counts of treason. Yep. Show them the holes in the wall. So can you guys see that? This is actually one of the small holes. Right there. It's probably one of the 50-foot ones. It's bigger than it looks. That little hole right there handles groups like that right there. That come right through that hole in the wall. Same thing here. There's a lot bigger holes than that, trust me. Anybody here that would like to make a trip to Sasebe, Arizona, and come see the ship for yourselves? Excuse my mouth today. I'm frustrated this morning. You guys want to come down and see the border for yourself? I only want men that have training behind them to come down to witness it, because we may be shot upon. And if we're fired upon, we are allowed to return fire. Period. When you're down on the border, though, you can't be walking around like this with your rifle towards the border wall. They'll actually charge you for it. That's considered an act of war. You cannot have any weapon pointing towards the border wall unless they're shooting at you. That's a different ballpark. But I would invite you guys to come down. Anybody with the Oath Keepers, any of you guys that want to come down, spend a 3-day tour with me. I'll take you to the heart of the cartel camps, right on American soil. I'll take you guys right into the heart of the issues. Over in Arabaca, we got No More Death Camp. It's a human trafficking camp. Cartel ran. I've been doing investigation work. I've got Border Patrol's reports. Right in Border Patrol's own reports, it shows the corruptness in our Border Patrol as well. I've got Border Patrol making deals with the No More Death Camp cartel ran facility. They'd already raided it 4 times this last year. They ended up making them a deal. And it's right there in their damn report that we ended up obtaining. So you don't make deals with the cartel. You don't make deals with the enemy, period. We've got the humanitarian aids down here on the border. Which one's this?
This one's for these are the video.
Matter of fact, right here, that's a good one to show. Right here, this is the cartel on the move. This is on American soil. Up here, you see the block on the soil? That's right across the border on the Mexico side, that part is. That's where the cartel was at war with one another. If you're on Facebook, you can go to my livebordernews.com channel on Facebook as well. I hate Facebook, but I use it because I've got almost 13,000 followers that share the hell out of my footage. So I use that. I use my livebordernews.com website for getting the news out to the American people. Yeah, go ahead. Yep. So when we had the Senator Hart down at the border with us, we had a gal that came through the border trafficking children, spoke English crystal clear. It'd been her 4th time through the border wall this year. Each time she comes through the border wall, she tells Border Patrol, "These are my children." Every time. So we had Pastor John Padula from the Altar Church out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, come on that tour with me and the senator. Pastor John gave this woman his phone number and said, "You call me when you get to where you're going. You just let me know you made it. All right." I told the pastor, I said, chances are, Pastor, she's probably a trafficker. Border Patrol even knows her by first name. That's how many times she's been through the border. I don't think the pastor quite understood what I was getting at. 2 days later, the pastor receives a phone call. Now keep in mind, she was processed in the Tucson sector. She ended up in Baltimore, Maryland with this group of kids not even 2 days later. That's how quick she went to the processing center, put on a plane, and flown across America. The pastor gets the phone call. He thought it was her calling him. It was the cartel calling him. Their exact words, because he asked to speak with her. They said, no, you cannot effing speak to her. Do you have our money for the children, and where are we going to meet? Word for word. Pastor John Padua has been giving speeches about this ever since. He couldn't believe what he witnessed and experienced. To make a long story short, I hate the FBI personally. But I do know some of the field agents up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I told the pastor to give the field agent in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, a phone call and report this to him. The field office in Coeur d'Alene notified the Baltimore field office. They ended up doing an undercover operation to do a purchase. They went in and they pulled out tons and tons of children out of this operation. The woman that trafficked them, though, she's already been on a plane, flown right back into Mexico to go do it all over again. And chances are, even if they do catch her, it's going to be a catch and release. She'll be given a time to appear, like they all are, and they disappear. Somewhere in America or somewhere back over in Mexico. You never see them again. How do we put a stop to the human trafficking?
Execute the traffickers.
You got it. That's what should be happening. This is my website right here for the livebordernews.com. And do you have my website for Facebook as well or no? No. So if you pull it up on Facebook, you can type it in just the same way. I've got thousands of hours of footage that we've been uploading, and it's going to take us quite a while to get a lot of this footage uploaded, but we're getting it as quick as we can. So right now, we need some boots on the ground, extra security teams down on the border, especially when I'm doing the tours with the senators and guys. I need guys that are well trained, that don't mind going into the heart of the issues down on the border. Anybody willing to do that, contact me afterwards or get my phone number off of my business card. And I need boots on the ground. Anybody here today that wishes to make a donation towards the border, we've got a donation can back here set up. Some information I've been sharing with some of you already of what we're doing on the border. But other than that, I don't profit from this stuff, guys. This is on my dime. But I'm dedicated to it because I'm dedicated to making sure you guys got the truth.
Thank you, Jonathan. Just a round of applause.
Appreciate all you guys. God bless you. God bless America.
We have to apologize. Jonathan missed dress rehearsal this week. He was supposed to come up to our property at the Grand Canyon, and we were going to rehearse this. And you know where he was at? He was down on the border with no coverage, cell phone coverage. So he was doing the more important thing. I guess this would have been a little bit more professional if we could have rehearsed it with the slides. But he mentioned Senator Phil Hart from Idaho. We're already talking to our legislators here in Arizona. So, something's got to be done. These are not illegal immigrants coming in for a better life. We're being invaded right now. I think you all realize that. So we've kind of moved this to the front burner. Election integrity is extremely important, but we may not get to the next election if we don't stop what's happening right now. So I want to bring up Bob McDowell from Patriot View. Bob is my business partner, and he makes all of this possible for us by funding, and we're helping out. We're getting behind constitutional candidates. We're going to be helping Jonathan a lot with his expenses, and we appreciate anything you guys can do. But Bob's going to talk to you about financial preparedness, and the reason this is so important, I was here, I think, 2 months ago, and Jim, I thought he was speaking basically giving the same talk we give. I mean, he was really stressing how important it is to not only be prepared in all the other ways that you have, but financially prepared. And so I have about a 35-year experience in financial services, and Bob's got 20 years in real estate and financial as well. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about that. Then we're going to have Q&A, and I imagine most of the questions will be for Jonathan, which is great, because I think we can talk with you after the meeting. If you would like to meet with us after the meeting when we have to move out of the building, we'll be happy to speak with you. So here's Bob McDowell. He's the CEO of Patriot View Organization. He's going to talk to you about financial preparedness. There you go, Bob.
Thank you very much. And thanks for being so patient with our technical issues. We were having a lot of fun solving the problems. So everything you're hearing about is a little grim, and we can all agree that it's all based on one thing, which is stolen Arizona elections. Now, in Lake Havasu, I got a chance to meet the real governor of Arizona. She's a very nice lady, and she looks really great standing there next to me. So, she said an interesting thing to me, because I didn't want her to leave. She had other people to talk to, but I wanted her to stay right there. And I made this interesting offhand remark. I said, it's an old fat Marine, but there's a lot of us here, and if you need help on that border, you let us know. And she turned to me as matter-of-factly and said, oh yeah, she said, there's 31,000 of you, and you're getting deputized as soon as I'm the governor. So I heard it firsthand from her. Okay? And now she came up to the Hualapai Mountain picnic later in the year. We had a chance, of course, I had all my gear, and then this voice cried out across the parking lot, nice hat! And it was her. so she came over, we got another picture, and then Steve was able to present her with our CSPOA Tyranny backpack, not to be confused with the tranny backpack, but that's the Tyranny backpack. And then we also got a chance to meet the real Attorney General of Arizona, Abe Hamadad. So now later in the year, during the Lincoln Day picnic, Steve had a brilliant idea about Carrie talks about that she's a mama bear. And so we have a little T-shirts that we make that, and this particular one says, I'm not a politician, I'm a mama bear on a mission. And she loved it, and she only had that in her possession for about 5 minutes, and was pretty quick on her feet, and she worked it right into her keynote presentation. And then, of course, she's always patient enough to get a picture while her handlers are saying, come on, we got to go. So she goes, no, I can do this. And then we must have started something, because a few days later, she's up on Twitter talking about mama bears.
That was on Monday in Iowa, in her home state.
Yeah.
The reason we did that, I heard an interview of her, and they said, do you have aspirations for higher political office? And she didn't hesitate. She said, listen, I'm not a career politician. I'm just a mama bear that cares about our kids. Mm-hmm. And when I heard that, I said, we got to get this for her. She had tears in her eyes when I gave her the shirt. But she's a really courageous woman, and we don't need her at the federal level. We need her here in Arizona.
That's right. So now, this crew is probably pretty up to speed on a lot of things. A lot of times when we talk to folks, the first time they've heard there's even a problem is when they hear us speak. So one of the things that we can give you is some latest news on Arizona elections. This has to do with, we had a chance to go see Abe down there at the courthouse, and then out of four, let me see if I can get this to you what I want. There we go. Out of 4 million votes, they claim he lost by 280 votes. Okay. So the interesting thing is that, here we go. Okay. Now, we all, and we were waiting, at the time I took this, we were waiting on the judge to rule, and he took it 2 months to decide, no, you can't have the trial and count the 7,000 ballots that would make you the Attorney General. So.
And why was he in Mojave County?
He couldn't get a good trial anywhere else, and so we tried with that judge. The interesting thing is, there's a little footnote, and I don't want to spread rumors, I want to be accurate, but one of the things that the judge said in his ruling, why he took so long to make it, was his house burned down for some reason. So we're gonna look into that. That's an interesting thing to put in a ruling. So this particular thing has to do with the 2020 election, and the reason I'm showing all these things quickly is to show none of this stuff is accidental. None of this stuff is malfeasance. None of this stuff is just them being bad at their job. Everything they do is planned. And is planned elaborately, long in advance, with the contingencies. If this happens, then they do that. If this happens, they do that. So these are signature cards that you've probably heard a lot about. Our Senator Borelli has been had a little task force looking into that. And these signatures are, there's 180,000 of them don't match. Now remember, Trump didn't win the Arizona election by 10,500 votes. So now the interesting thing here is, or 500 votes. Now the Maricopa County 21 audit proves that these signatures are the election workers. These signatures that you see with all of these signatures, little A's and S's and stuff, when those election workers were picking up ballots at the drop boxes every day for a month, they had their own little basic little scribble that they used. We know who those people are. They're on the payroll. They know where they live, and yet those same signatures are on thousands and thousands of the ballot envelopes, but nobody will talk about it. So we're talking about it. And these are proven facts. So the same thing here, Carrie Lake lost her case when the judge unfortunately correctly ruled, and I'll trace if I can read it here, the court does not find either clear or convincing evidence or preponderance of evidence of misconduct in the violation of that particular Arizona statute. And the reason he said that, and he was correct, is because, in responding to the evidence that the verifications happening every 2 to 3 seconds, the judge also ruled, remember, I don't know if you saw the video where somebody was just pushing the button. The judge ruled correctly, no reviewer is required by statute to spend any specific length of time on any particular signature. So the reason why the court ruled that there weren't any standards violated, because there are no standards. Our legislators, our lawmakers, never set any standards. It's set by Mr. Richard. He gets to decide what's good enough, and of course, he works for Katie Hobbs. So, in fact, when right after the election, when he had to appear in court, he was in Panama for some reason, saying, "Well, this is a long planned vacation," but he was in Panama. And it was interesting that the lady who Liz Harris had, that almost cost her seat, or did, and then she came back. She was talking about how the banks in Panama are where's all the money is coming from to take care of the Maricopa payoffs. So we have no trouble connecting dots. And unfortunately, the lawmakers that we have to rely on us to get out there and say something, or otherwise they're never going to do that. So rather than give you more grim things to talk about, okay, I'm going to talk about what we call prepare and take action, okay? And there's 2 ways that you do that, and it's through voting, okay? So if you prepare your vote and you prepare your money, those are the 2 things that matter to the other side. They want elections because they want to make it look like you're getting to do something, but they really don't care if you vote or not. So what you want to do is audit your own voting record by looking at the times you voted, confirm that your votes were correct. Now you can't actually know that you were Republican. That's those things. And then confirm that your address is correct. Whoops, let me go back here quick. And the reason you want to confirm that your address is correct is because the reason Abe Hamada did not win as Attorney General was because there were thousands of people who happened to own properties in different counties, and they didn't know that their registration had been secretly switched, so when they came to vote, they were told that they were registered to vote in that county. And so they said they could vote provisionally. And these are people with long records of 20 and 30 years of voting for the same address. But this is another one of the 100 different ways that they rig the system so that they get the results that they want. So the other thing we tell people to do is to prepare your money. Now, this is probably something you've seen before, but there are 4 major companies that run Wall Street. And it's Vanguard, State Street, Fidelity, and our favorite guy is BlackRock. Okay, so, and the BlackRock guys, they then control 11 companies who then have control of 700 brands that we all think are little independent companies, but they're not. And what they're told to do, because it's all about disrupting our way of life, and they don't really care about Black Lives Matter or Antifa or the race theory stuff. That's just to upset our families and our ways of life. They're trying to make us look bad to the rest of the world. They're trying to destroy the United States. But the sad thing is they're doing it with your money. So that's what we're trying to. This is the positive thing that I can offer today, and then why we're here and why we sponsor Steve's message is because we're going to talk about your money. So this isn't an odd question, but where are banks going next? And are you financially prepared? So the FDIC, and which is the thing that everyone thinks protects their savings, has only 1.3% of the funds, because that's all they're required to have to cover. It's just like any other insurance system, because they don't think they'll ever have to make good on it. And since 2022, 23% of they just disappeared. We've talked to people in their IRAs; they've seen 10 years of progress just vaporize overnight, and now they're back to about what they started with, or less. So the question is, how do you disarm them? I thought that would be a good word for you guys. So how do we disarm those guys, and how do you take control of your money? And we do it by using financial preparedness. Now, our company, which is called Patriot View LLC, we've got a new little facelift, and now we're known as PatriotView.us. That's our cool little logo there with our little Patriot guy. And what we do is we offer financial preparedness, and we do it through a concept called land banking. And our company is a land developer, and what we do is we show people how to earn double-digit returns backed by real estate. And what we can offer you is you'll never lose any value, and what we have is a preset outcome. So there's no guesswork. It's 2 or 3 year increments that we work with. There's not very long-term commitments, but the idea is that you won't have to worry about losing anything anymore, and you'll have taken physical control of your money, and we'll show you the right people to talk to how to do that. And the idea is that those people can't use your money to hurt you or anybody you care about. So the only thing that we ask, because we're compelled by the state of Arizona, that in order to talk to you, you have to sign in and just give us basic information, a phone number, an email address, and what we'll do is we'll talk to you privately one-on-one, because that's how we're supposed to do it. You get to know us. The nice thing is everything we do is right here in Arizona. That you know the owners. It's me and Steve. We're not some big giant conglomerate. We don't have fancy offices. But what we do have is a real love. Sorry, caught me. A real love for where we live. And well, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, what we do at Patriot View is we put as much as we can back into the fighting for our freedom and liberty. You know, Mike Lindell, he had to borrow $10 million to make payroll. They're breaking him. I think he's put, $40 million into the fight. It's not going to do you any good to be a multimillionaire if we don't have a country. So that's why we're out working and spreading the word and trying to come up with some good solutions. And so, Jonathan, if you can come up, we can start the question and answer now. And if you have questions about the CSPOA, I can answer for you. Jonathan, of course, anything related to his talk today. And Bob, on the financial preparedness, we can either answer questions up here or after the meeting. And I guess, should we take a microphone? Yeah, out to the... So does anyone have any questions for Jonathan?
I've got a question regarding August 22nd this year, regarding FedNow and also the BRICS deal where they're trying to actually do away with the American currency and go with a gold-backed currency, which is going to completely destroy our financial system. That in conjunction with the FedNow, which is supposed to be taking effect real quickly here. We don't hear anything about it in the news, which gives me credence to believe it's true. You go to the FedNow website and they put it right out there, but nobody's talking about it.
Right, so that's a question for Bob. You want to answer that, Bob?
Well, I can answer it a little bit in a sense that a lot of these things are more international than national. I mean, they're trying to knock us off our pedestal. And so, but the thing that makes us unique in the world is that, well, the United States is an interesting system. And you have three things. You have the rule of law, hopefully, and you have private property rights, which is which you don't have in other countries, and you have capitalism as the basic economic system. The United States is the only place in the world that has all three.
But when those things, I apologize.
It's okay.
When those things become digitalized, and the federal government controls everything based on our social economic governance score, then we no longer have rule of law. You know, I'm speaking from I have a Juris Doctorate.
And I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah. So what we're doing from a preparedness standpoint is we're changing our assets to where we're either holding land, because unless they do away with private property rights, then that's another can of worms.
Yeah.
But that's one way to do it. And then, of course, our biggest thing that we do is from a barter system. Physical silver and gold is the other way to go. And you just have to be, you know, we promote silver the most because of all the things that are going to rise in their buying power. It's not measured against the old fiat currency, but your buying power. We see little 1 ounce rounds of silver being something that will be worth maybe 10 times or 100 times more than it was that you bought it for now. So that's what we personally do. So.
Thank you. Any more questions for Bob or Jonathan?
Are rounds better than sovereign coins?
That's all.
Are rounds better than sovereign coins?
Are rounds better than sovereign coins?
The reason I personally use rounds is because they're not minted by a government. Again, you get into the same issue. Is it says right on the paper that this is the property of the government. You just get the privilege of using it. Okay. Now, whether or not they can do that with sovereigns, I don't know. But I do know that if I have a round that's just minted by a mint that I trust, like Apex is where we go, then I don't have to worry about that. And they have cool little designs and that way, but they're very fungible, and meaning that you can use them for basic everyday use. You can't really do that with gold because you have to have the little tiniest pieces, you know, in order to do something with it. So I hope that answered your question.
We recommend you get your money out of the big banks because our friend Barack Hussein Obama 2011 passed in the NDAA that when you put your money in the bank, it belongs to the bank, it no longer belongs to you. So you could wind up being a creditor in a failed bank. So we recommend credit unions. We have our business accounts at Arizona Financial Credit Union. I've been with them for 8 years with my personal account, and they don't take risky investments where you might be bailing the credit union in like you might be with one of the big banks. So get your money in the credit union so you can pay your bills, and then land, silver, gold is the way to go. Yes.
What do you think about junk silver?
Junk silver? I love junk silver, yeah. Because people know what it is, they recognize the coins, and I think for any bartering in small amounts, I buy junk silver. I think it's a good thing to do. Okay?
Oh, junk. Right, I like Trump silver.
That's the pre-1964. That's 90% silver. Yeah.
Steve?
Yes.
I heard a commercial. Hi. I heard a commercial yesterday that, is it One Arizona or Arizona One Credit Union, because I'm new here, digital already. I just happened, to have the radio on, driving in the car, and it was really nice and sweet. The voice was beautiful. And there's supposedly 41 financial institutions that have been certified already for FedNow for digital. No, these are different, like Wells Fargo and different. Some of them are Chase, yes. Some of them are credit unions too. But it was just interesting that I happened to catch that, and I thought they just said digital. The credit union here. So I just wanted to add that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your input. Okay, any more questions?
Josh. Oops. I have a big voice. I don't believe I need it.
We need it for the mic.
Okay. So, ease my frustration with the border and the human trafficking continuing until this regime is over. Do we need to wait until Trump comes in 2024, 25 before we can do an act at the border? Are we going to tolerate this behavior across our nation to be abused by this regime? Is this what we're doing? Thank you.
Jonathan?
Well, I'm actually glad you asked me that question.
Tell them about your meeting with Leo. Yeah.
So I've got Leo actually coming to the border with me as well, by the way. He'll be on the 20th trip.
Leo Biasucci, our House Majority Whip from Lake Havasu, Mojave County.
But to answer your question, I don't think we have until 2024. I don't think America has until 2024. Here's what people don't understand. I love Donald Trump. Do I think he'll do a hell of a good job for us? In my opinion, yes. But Trump's one man. What happens if they assassinate Trump? And that's if we even got until he gets into office. Because right now, with the crisis on our borders, the kind of invasion that we're facing on a daily basis, I'll be surprised if we make it to 2024.
Me too.
And people don't realize, everybody keeps saying all about elections. Hey, elections are very important, guys. But keep in mind one thing. These illegals coming through the borders right now, all across America, they're starting to let them vote in our state elections. Not the federal election yet, but they're going to push for that next. But our state elections, there's several states doing it now. I tell people, get off of social media, look it up. Don't go off what you're reading on social media and all this stuff. So look into what's really happening. So there's a lot of knowledge out there.
We have a challenge here in Arizona. Our Arizona State National Guard is not allowed to go down and defend the border, right?
They're allowed to go to the border, but they have to be unarmed. That's our National Guard. How's that protecting and defending this country if you're not allowed to have a firearm? Because I'll guarantee you one thing here today. Those pieces of shit cartel fire upon me or one of my men, I promise you, I'm going to send them to hell. And that's the way it should be for every one of our military personnel down on the border. Period. But thanks to this treasonous government we have and a piece of shit governor, excuse my mouth today, again. I'm sorry, guys. But with all the crap that we have going on right now, we got to get these sheriffs all across the land to step up. Deputize all of us across the board. and let us we the people go make the rest. Because our government is failing us each and every day. And it has to start with us. We the people. What does the Constitution tell you guys? What does the Constitution tell you about what's happening right here now, today? Anybody? We are not to allow this kind of a corrupt government. So what the hell are all we doing?
That's what I want to know.
Well, we're all sitting back. We all keep saying, well, let's wait until we got Trump back in power. Be patient. What happens if Trump doesn't get back in power?
Well, the Constitution says it's governed by the people.
Thank
not
you.
the legislature.
You got it. Yes. This is why it's up to us. That's what we already said. We need to get all the oath keepers across the land. As far as I'm concerned, get all the damn militias across the land together. And come down and defend these borders and say no more on our clock. Have the sheriffs all deputize us across the land for a posse to where we can do it the legal way. That way they can't say it's another January 6th. But beyond that, this government does need to be held accountable. And it's going to take we the people to do it.
We have a part-time legislature. They want to address this. They want Jonathan to come speak in January. To me, this is a national emergency. I'm trying to push for them to declare an emergency meeting now, not in January, because if they look at it in January, it'll take them a year to get anything done. So, Jonathan and Randy Miller, our CSPOA director for Arizona, spoke out at Great American Pizza in Mojave County, Golden Valley area recently, and Sheriff Mike was there, and the county sheriff, America's Last Hope. The sheriffs are the only ones that have the power. They're the chief law enforcement officers in the county. Guess who the new president of the Arizona State Sheriff's Association is? Our constitutional sheriff here in Yavapai County, Sheriff Rhodes. Sheriff Rhodes could bring these sheriffs together and address this crisis that we have and see how we can deal with this. But, you know, we're being invaded by military-aged men. I don't think they're coming over here to have a great social life, right? So,
yeah, speaking of sheriffs, so we got the Pima County Sheriff. Anybody know him? He's about as corrupt as hell. I'll tell you what. This man protects the water and food drops right outside of 3 Points, Arizona, where it's left for the cartel. You can go to my website and see it. It's all over there. Because I've had over 6,000 comments on it already. Probably 40% of it's the cartel threatening my life because we're exposing it. But I get death threats every day. But either way, he's protecting the water and food drops for the cartel. No more death camp over in Arabach, Arizona. Check it out. Check out my website and look at what's going on over there. They've had women actually raped right there in that camp. Pima County Sheriff was called. He wouldn't respond. Couldn't even get him to respond. He goes, get us some footage and then we'll see about what we can do. Well, if you only got a 3-man team down there and you got 30 cartel thugs sitting in this camp, you're a little outnumbered for starters. Not that I wouldn't have a problem doing what I got to do. But the point is, it shouldn't have been our job to do. You report the incident, it's your law enforcement that's supposed to be protecting and defending as well. And when they don't, they're not upholding their oath. The oath they gave as well. How's that protecting and defending anybody?
we have another great sheriff down in Yuma County. He actually started arresting and investigating for election fraud before 2,000 Mules came out. Sheriff Leon Wilmot. So I'm going to talk to Sheriff Rhodes about, enlisting his help. Of course, we have Sheriff Lamb down in Pinal County. And I'm sure we can count on Sheriff Paul Pinzone that got $3.5 million from our friend George Soros to run against Sheriff Joe Arpaio, so we can rule him out, right? But I believe we can get Sheriff Schuster in Mojave County, some of the outlying areas all around the state, and at least discuss the situation, see what can be done,
But, well, that's like Sheriff Schuster. I've reached out to him, tried to have meetings with him. Just saw him at that event we just did up at the, what was that? The one up in the mountains there?
Wallapai Mountains.
The Wallapai Mountains. We just did an event up there. And right there I questioned him. I said, you're a hard man to reach. Been into your office multiple times. And he goes, he tried to play stupid like it was the first time he heard about it. And his personal secretary flat out told me, he's basically lying. She goes, I've given him the direct message each time. So, because I was trying to discuss about also the buses coming into Kingman and everything else, why he's allowing it. Because he said illegal means illegal in one of his speeches. He goes, I'll arrest them if they do this. Well, where's the rest? He ain't doing anything. This is why it's important for our politicians that we elect, our sheriffs, make sure they're going to walk the walk, not just a bunch of talkers. Because every one of them, I'll say it, guys, that blow smoke right up our asses, get us to believe what we want, they think we want to hear. Well, get on it, do your job. Because if you're not going to do it, I'm going to be the first to go after you and make sure I expose the shit out of you for not doing your job.
The reason the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in the county is they derive their power from us, we the people. So the process does not work if you don't get behind your sheriff. The sheriff actually is our elected employee. So we need to support them and tell them what we expect. Now, I didn't mention it earlier, but when I saw Sheriff Rhodes here, a lot of the constituents here were concerned about ATF doing knock and talks. We heard about that about a year ago. And he told us in front of this group, he got with the ATF director that covers Arizona, said, you don't come into my county unless you see me first. That's what a constitutional sheriff does. They interpose on behalf of their constituents. They're not like a police chief that's appointed where they've code enforced. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And a lot of the sheriffs, and of course the police and the attorneys, they think that pretend legislation that lawyers wearing robes have made case law out of is what is the rule of law in the land, and that's not true. So we're starting to really promote the supremacy clause in the Constitution when we go out and speak. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, you mentioned deputize more sheriffs, but who does that? Is that the governor? And I got another question.
Oh, the sheriff. In Mojave County, we have 3,800 retired law enforcement officers, many of them in their 50s and 60s, from California, Phoenix, Las Vegas. Sheriff Schuster over there has every one of their contact information. At an event that we put on in Lake Havasu in August of 2021, the one good thing he did say is if we have any civil unrest or chaos, whatever it may be due to earthquakes or government corruption, whatever, that he would contact and deputize all 3,800. Now, Sheriff Joe Arpaio had about the same amount in Maricopa County when he was sheriff. So the sheriff has the ability to do that.
Then let's do it.
To deputize his posse.
Another question, there was talk about Kerry Lake running for Senate. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kerry Lake running for Senate is all disinformation so that we'll go, oh, well, and stop thinking about her as the governor. She's the duly elected governor of Arizona. 14 counties elected her. One county who ran their election they didn't run it poorly, they deliberately cheated and waited until everybody's results come in so they knew how many they had to falsify so they could win. basically nullified all the votes of all 14 of us who voted Carrie Lake in. So,
Katie Hobbs is actually a usurper of power, is what we call them. Dr. Alan Keyes, a very patriotic constitutional attorney, made that comment when Barack Hussein Obama was supposedly elected, that he was a usurper of power. I think we could say that about Joe Biden and Katie Hobbs. They are not duly elected, but they go in and they take over, and they're running our states and our federal government right now.
Because the other little detail that I like to talk about is they think that we are led to believe that the state treasurer magically won by 300,000 votes more than Katie Hobbs, because all of the people who voted Carrie Lake and Abe and Mark Fincham in the primaries suddenly changed their minds in Maricopa, only in Maricopa County, because they didn't have any issues with the 14 other counties, but only in Maricopa County, enough people changed their mind at the last minute and decided, no, we don't want Mark, and we don't want Abe, and we don't want Carrie. So, and we're supposed to believe that. So,
Jim, how much more time do we have? We don't want to go over here. Any more questions? If we can, 5? Okay, 5 minutes.
Who has the microphone? Oh, there's this nice lady over here. She's
Talk loud enough. I have a loud voice.
okay.
No, we don't get it. That is recorded.
Hello?
There you are.
Yeah. It's a loud mic.
Okay. Okay. I'll try to talk softly. I just found out that going to the county building on Fair Street in Prescott, that my vote didn't count. I found this out from Carrie Lake's, their investigation on what they're doing right now on the voting, and they just happened. I happened to call them for a discrepancy. I had given money involved, and they called me back, and she said my name was so unusual that they put it in, and they said you went to the county building on the last day to vote, and your vote didn't count. I went there, and I wanted a copy of my ballot, and I wanted to know, how did I vote? Well, I guess they couldn't give that to me. They wouldn't give it to me. And they said
They don't do that.
okay, but they said, they lied. They said, we don't have any records of anything like that. It's gone. And I said, it can't be. It's because you have to keep records for a certain amount of time, and then it goes on what I used to remember, microfilm. And he said, no, you need to go to the treasurer's office. I went there, and they said, no, you have to go back. Well, eventually I called Chip Davis's office, and the gal that answered it told me that they already talked to their lawyers, and if I want any information, I have to seek out an attorney. But I just want you to know that my account, according to Carrie Lake's people, We the People Alliance, I forget what it's called, my vote didn't count.
Okay. And it's so important that you did audit your voting record, because if you don't, you have no way of knowing. And now, voting in person is essential to, but we need to talk to our lawmakers and say, look, you need to eliminate all of this mail-in voting, because that's how they're cheating. Okay, and we also need to go to hand counting without machines, and we also need to count in the precinct where you voted. And there are more than enough volunteers that are going to step up and say, before those pieces of paper leave this building, we're going to know what the tally was. And that's the right way to do it, and there's only one right way to do it. And if anyone wants to do it any other way, it's because they want to cheat, and that's all it is.
Alrighty, we're going to have to answer questions of the. Okay, one more, because we're running out of time here.
My quick question was, what are we doing about a totally corrupted system in this country, all the way to the Supreme Court. I heard an article the other day that between Barack Obama and Joe Biden, 70% of these judges have been appointed by them are totally corrupted. Just look at the one that just on the one on Donald Trump in Washington D.C. Totally corrupted, left-wing, radical, has put into office. Is there any, your guys' opinion, anything that what can we do about those people? Because they're the ones that get when we go to court, when these sheriffs take their job and arrest these people, then they go to court and some left-wing judge, oh no, that's not, just like they're doing to President Trump right there. That's all.
Well, the legal solution is we get our votes straight, we get the right people in, of course, President Trump, the right guy. Yeah, and then judges can be impeached, and that's how you get rid of them. They can be impeached.
County attorneys have been roadblocking a lot of our sheriffs. They get 30 minutes, if that, in law school on the Constitution. If the county attorney is not doing their job, the sheriff needs to arrest them. That's the only thing you can do. Because we cannot operate in the court system if we cannot get things prosecuted, get these cases prosecuted. We are willing to stay here all afternoon in the parking lot if you guys want to have more questions. But I know we have to move out of the building pretty quickly. If you have questions for Jonathan and want to pick up literature in the back, Bob will have information on the Patriot Land Banking. If you want to sign in and pick up a flyer, Steve Thomas back there will help you with that. I'll answer any questions you may have on the constitutional sheriffs. But we'll move outside when we have to vacate the building. So Jim and Janet, thank you so much. We appreciate
coming, guys. Appreciate it. Good job.
Yeah, you guys. I apologize for the lack of professionalism, but I think we did get the point across, the message that we wanted to